In 2019, I met my new primary healthcare provider, Dr. Heather O'Neill, at Fort Smith VA Clinic. During my visit, I asked if I could have a few x-rays taken of my head, familial meningioma given as the reason. O'Neill scheduled the procedure for January 29, 2019. After completing the procedure, I awaited the images to be posted to my online VA medical record, and once they were, I downloaded them and began looking through them. Admit surprise when I found O'Neill's CT scan was nearly 400 images and not the mere few x-rays I'd requested. Though the radiology report's conclusion stated all is normal, I began going through the images looking for specific kinds of anomalies. It wouldn't take long to begin coming across single CT scan slices that were, to be conservative, shocking, making the radiology report as suspicious as I knew it would be. You'd agree the images you're seeing would never be classed as normal, but would instead motivate a physician to have the patient immediately scheduled further focused imaging to identify the objects for continued diagnosis. Biopsy might be recommended from these images alone. Dr. O'Neill wasn't motivated to these expected normal avenues, but quite the opposite. I requested imaging from O'Neill seeking evidence not of possible tumours but of possible crimes. Dr. Damani's radiology report mentions nothing of these most glaring, frightening objects found within the CT series images. I took the most alarming of the images and sent them via email to Dr. O'Neill's team. The initial response was empathetic. Team member Don responded he understood my concern and would get the image to his boss, O'Neill. This obviously means he saw the image and was motivated by it to involve the doctor quickly. As our conversation continues, I note that Don begins to lightly question what I've sent him, why I sent it, and on whose professional advice I had sent it. This is obvious pushback from O'Neill. Don then states he was having trouble viewing the images because they were dark in his print-up. His only reason for now claiming he'd never really got a good look at the images after offering tepid condolences in his initial emails was obviously to create a defense, and that he never saw anything. Dr. O'Neill's office manager steps in to eventually inform that O'Neill is ending any further discussion, and that the doctor and I can speak about it during my next checkup in a year. If the disturbing objects found in the CT scan images she herself ordered were indeed fast-growing tumours, she might have to conduct my next checkup with her via Ouija board. But she knows what they are, and has quelled any further discussion about it between her office and myself. And though the crimes that inspired my imaging request to O'Neill in the first place is starting to bear fruit, I would have to endeavour to become familiar with medical imaging, including creating 3D models from large CT scan series, like the one O'Neill gave me. Dr. Damani's radiology report is a complete fabrication that concludes, quote, all normal, unquote. Dr. O'Neill will only ever parrot the conclusion and absolutely nothing more. The evidence I was hoping to find via medical imaging of my head bore new kind of fruit I hadn't expected. This evidence consists of Dr. Damani's omission of the most startling items found in the imaging, while he goes on at length describing only the mundane. Dr. O'Neill has only ever, to this day, parroted Damani's report's conclusion as all normal. My sending the images to her team members caused her to intervene immediately and quash any further discussion of them between her, office employees, and myself. These two, Damani and O'Neill, are corrupt, both serving the same criminal enterprise that inspired me to make the imaging request of O'Neill to begin with. I asked T for a few x-rays of my head. She gave me hundreds within a CT series. She did this not for a fulsome view of my skull and brain for diagnosis on my behalf, but surely for her criminal bosses who wanted an updated view of their handiwork's effects on tissue and bone. The video playing now was derived via 3D modeling, via application used normally by radiologists. Learning how to work with medical imaging, I was finally able to begin revealing what I had been searching for all along. Most in law enforcement would assign the onset of otherwise unexplainable auditory experiences to some sudden mental break. I knew I was looking for a real-world answer based in technology that already existed and was being used by the medical industry, and after great effort, I finally uncovered them using Dr. O'Neill's CT scan series images by having 3D modeling programs stitch those images together, providing an all-encompassing picture no single X-ray image could. Cochlear devices which, as you can see, I found while Dr. Damani did not. One would think these implants, located far away from their normal placement, along with bands of wires anchored to both sides of my skull's interior by cranioplasty hardware, would have made Damani's report. This type of dual cochlear arrangement is for binaural effect and achieved with the exact type of internal skull tunneling and wiring layout you're seeing now. While the wiring is inside the skull, the implants are mounted on the exterior of the temples. To hide them from medical imaging, they were apparently covered over with surgical bone cement, which is known to be radiopaque. This led me to look for them from the inside of my skull. Source imaging courtesy of Dr. O'Neill. Once I found the cochlear implants mounted upon my temples and created defined media of them for law enforcement, I moved on to try and create evidence of the neural array, the bulk of whose components lay situated down the middle of my brain inside the protective dura mater. This proved substantially harder than the work done to expose the cochlear devices. I had noted the DICOM index file for the CT scan had been manually altered, causing some imaging function to suffer, though I repaired some of the purposeful damage. What I ended up with is imaging that shows components and its wiring, but most of all, that the three dense objects easily seen in the single X-ray images are simply components of the neural array. So now this narrative must jump back before I began coaxing the visible details of implants and their support systems out of the images Dr. O'Neill handed me. After O'Neill ended all communications with me, and once I realized Dr. Damani worked, and always has, at Washington State University in Seattle, I wrote a 10-page report and sent it to U.S. Attorney Kyra Jenner via email. No response. Several times more, and no response. I printed the letter and report, complete with print-ups of the medical imaging, sent it to her in the mail. No response. Once again, a month later, and finally she emailed me. Ms. Jenner claimed to have read my missive to her and assured me she would request OIG look at it. Finally, a chance at a government agency, OIG, assessing the details of my report and possibly opening an investigation. I considered myself lucky. 7 months later, I was contacted by OIG's Special Agent Chris Raper, who, in his introductory message to me, claimed he'd been involved with my case for quote, unquote, the past few months. His email excited me, making me feel as though my case had gotten traction. If he'd been involved in my case for a few months, he must have been turning up evidence. In March of 2021, I took a spill and thought I'd broken a rib. I went to Baptist ER for x-rays. No broken rib, but torn rib cage muscle. Far more important finds in the x-ray copies I'd taken home. 2 of the 5 single x-rays displayed a new find. A pacemaker with a large attached device with a square base and round raised center. Since I had no idea my body held a pacemaker or its supporting hardware and wiring, I immediately sent the images to Agent Raper and Ms. Jenner. No reply. While working with the chest x-rays, I managed to strip away part of the upper layer on one of the images. I knew what it was when I saw its round chamber. A very large induction coil used to recharge the pacemaker's battery using magnetic field energy, just as today's cell phones wirelessly recharge. Raper spoke of having 4 radiologists give their diagnosis of O'Neill's same CT series to see how many agreed with my assessment against how many did not. I suggested a far simpler idea. Take me down to the hospital and have me imaged head to toe in a high-definition CT scan and put to bed any doubt either way. Over a year since U.S. Attorney Jenner informed she had requested OIG open an investigation into my case, I found myself contacting Raper more often, always knowing I would come away from those conversations convinced Raper had been corrupted, if he wasn't from the outset. That no radiologist in any VA facility in Arkansas was selected to write the report, but instead, Damani, who lived in Seattle, was chosen stands out as odd. There are 2 VA hospitals in Arkansas that have fulsome, large radiology departments with the same ability to diagnose and pen reports just as Damani. I kept reminding Raper of this thread upon which he should pull. Instead, he sent me an email full of statements that not only make no sense but conflict with one another. At the height of my continued suggestion that the selection of Damani should be seen as odd, suspicious, abnormal, Raper sends me an email. His opening sentence, quote, OIG Criminal Investigations has looked into your allegations, unquote. The use of looked in the past tense makes it sound as if they've finished looking into my case, yet he doesn't inform of any conclusion. He then suggests I submit my allegations to OIG via their online hotline, when the man formally informed me nearly half a year prior he'd been working on my case for several months. The lunacy in his email goes on. He next states the OIG portal connects to physicians who look into medical negligence as if anyone between myself, Jenner, and he himself ever said a single word about negligence. This case has always been about physicians who work in the VA today, O'Neill and Damani, who have been enlisted by the criminal enterprise that planned and carried out implanting a physiological data streaming system into my body at West Los Angeles Medical Center long ago in May 1999. O'Neill has seen the images from her own CT series. I made sure Damani had seen the images as well, since it's likely he's the go-to radiologist when criminals require him to fabricate a radiology report, and he may never have bothered looking the O'Neill CT scan. And when I found the rechargeable pacemaker system in my chest among ER X-rays in early 2021, I sent those images to O'Neill, Raper and Jenner as well. And now, all of them have become criminals. Raper's email above goes on to state he's opening up further avenues of information he's awaiting answers on, which conflicts with his opening statement that OIG has looked into my case. By this point, we can all understand that neither of his statements are true. A month later, I happened to run a document data comparative program on a previous version of my VA medical record against one I had downloaded that day. A single result arose from someone performing an alteration to my record. A quite important and, to be sure, prescient one. Someone had changed the name of my primary care physician from Dr. O'Neill to Dr. Damani. I immediately clipped images from the records and sent them in an email to Raper, and blind copied Jenner. Raper's answer was faster than the usual answer he gave me, which was no answer. He stated he was requesting an answer to my concerns, and that he would contact me as soon as he had an answer. He never contacted me again. After I came to terms that Raper was most likely corrupted before he'd ever written me his introductory email, I would later believe that since he and I had just gone through a period in which I insisted an answer to Damani's involvement in my procedure could not make sense if anyone was pressed about it. I believe Raper had my medical record altered momentarily so he could document it in whatever kind of report he was putting together regarding my case. If you asked Raper for his report on my case, my guess is this alteration would be within it. About a year and a half since Kyra Jenner's email to me. Raper stopped answering my phone calls, emails. When I did finally get him to accidentally answer my call, he chided me for publicly painting him as corrupt. I assured him I never painted him as corrupt. I stated outright he was corrupt, as if he believed I felt real life were like some kind of CSI television show. He told me he was off the case and ended our call by saying he would give me his replacement's phone number but not his name. When I called the number, it only ever rang. No answer, no answering service, no automated operator, only ever ringing. It took me many days over months to finally call at a time Kyra Jenner absent-mindedly picked up my phone call. This was nearly 2 years after her only communication with me, her email response to the report I mailed her. This phone call illustrates she knows who I am, knows about my case and understands I'm looking for an update on OIG's investigation, which she herself requested. See if you agree.
Attorney for the Western District of Arkansas. Normal business hours are 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. If you know your party's 5-digit extension, please dial it now.
Here, Jenner speaking.
Hi, Mrs. Jenner. It's Matt Sutherland.
Yes, Mr. Sutherland.
How are you? Good. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Are you busy?
Yes, but what can I do to help you, sir?
Oh, I was wondering about the investigation of Raper's. I didn't know if it had closed or continued. He said somebody else took it over.
Okay, I actually don't know whether it is being continued or closed, to be honest with you. And I wish I could give you the exact nomenclature on that. Can I get back to you on that?
Of course.
What would be the best way to proceed from here?
Well, you can contact me by email or by phone, and I'll answer if you call.
Okay. And I do believe I have your email, unless it possibly has changed. Is it the same as some of the things you have sent me in the past?
Yes. Did I bother you too much?
No, not all,
okay.
Mr. Sutherland. But please just dictate it to me again, just to make sure I don't have a misunderstanding, because I've seen a couple different things come, and I don't know if they all come from the same email address.
Oh, I think so. It's Mellock Films 2016 at outlook.com.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I will give you a response in writing so I don't make a mistake.
Okay.
Misunderstand the status. Okay, thank you for calling.
Thanks very much.
You bet. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Jenner never contacted me via email as she promised. No phone call either. So after many tedious hours of calling her at her office only to leave voicemails that would go unanswered, I called later than business hours one night, and she picked up. Now, here for you is the second of the only 2 times this person and I ever spoke.
You have reached the office of the United States Attorney for the Western District of Arkansas. Normal business hours are 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. If you know your party's 5-digit extension, please dial it now.
This is Kara Jenner speaking.
Hi, Kara. It's Matt Sutherland. One more time.
Okay.
Oh, I hate to bother you. Do you know if there's a report from OIG or a summary or something?
I do not think so, Matt.
Okay.
I don't have one, and I did not see one.
Okay. Can I request one from them or?
Well, certainly, Matt. You can request. I just don't know that there is one that has been available or been made available. But
Right.
I think their investigation has concluded.
Okay. All right. I was just checking.
Okay.
Okay.
Take care.
You
Bye,
too.
Matt.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Many months passed when I decided to call us Attorney Jenner yet again. I was informed she relocated posts to another state. A young man answered the call, and I relayed a summary of my affiliation with his office, so he looked me up in the U.S. Attorney's database. Using my social security, date of birth and name, he located me and claimed what he'd found was odd. He informed me that for anyone's name to exist in their database, a case must be attached. Yet he was surprised to find my name and personal data sitting alone, unattached to any case information whatsoever. He gave me the name of the U.S. Attorney he felt I should contact, so I did. The U.S. Attorney I phoned was Kim Harris. She became Kara Jenner's replacement. I spoke with Miss Harris at length regarding my criminal complaint and what had transpired when I enlisted the aid of Miss Jenner and that agent. Raper came along later, adding himself to the effort. I suggested I send a 50-page report complete with the evidence you've seen here today. She agreed. I sent her the report and some time later called her back on the cell phone number she called from. She told me she'd not had a chance to fully go through my report, and when she finished with it she would call me back. She never did or has, and any and all future attempts at contacting her have gone unanswered. I gave up trying to contact Miss Harris after leaving a raft of voice messages and emails that all were met only with silence. A short time later I tried to call the front desk of the U.S. Attorney's office in Fort Smith and was met with this answer.
The person you are trying to reach is not able to receive your call. The person you are trying to reach is not able to receive your call.
Now any day of the week or time, no matter day or night, Fort Smith's U.S. Attorney's office phone system hangs up on me. Obviously, my phone number has, in the U.S. Attorney's Office, Western District of Arkansas, banned from calling anyone therein. People in the DOJ have erected a firewall between myself and justice. In this, they protect the growing number of criminals that populate this entire enterprise and include themselves in their service. They protect the powerful criminals and the endless parade of once dutiful civil servants that are corrupted to this conspiracy's ends. President Trump popularized the phrase weaponized government when corrupted agents of justice attacked him in unison from many angles in an attempt to break him of running for president. I've dealt with the business end of that weaponization for years before Trump would have believed such entrenched corruption could exist. I'll soon travel to the U.S. Attorney's Office with a physical copy of my fulsome report and a flash drive with far more evidence necessary to provide my criminal complaint a solid, irrefutable foundation. The test of whether justice has been cut off for me completely by those sworn to deliver it will be whether or not I'm allowed through the front door.